All right, so welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at something pretty interesting.
Yeah, should be fascinating.
You sent over this MSNBC segment, and
Hmm.
it looks like it's all about Elon Musk and his ties to the U.S. government.
Yeah, and what those ties could mean.
Yeah, it's a little bit
That's
surprising, right?
definitely, yeah.
So I guess our mission today is to really try to understand what the implications of the situation are
Right.
and try to make sense of this unusual dynamic. Musk and the government, it's not something you hear every day.
No, not at all. And what's really striking to me right off the bat is just the sheer level of access that Musk seems to have secured.
Yeah, when you look at the details, it is kind of wild, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, we're talking about USI.
Right, a major player in international aid.
Right, and even the Treasury Department's payment system.
Oh, yeah, the one that handles trillions of dollars.
Trillions, yeah.
The big deal.
And then the segment mentioned that Musk's team was actually looking into personnel file security clearances.
Right, right.
I mean, that's the kind of information that
Right.
could be incredibly damaging.
In the wrong hands, for sure.
Yeah, in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
That's kind of unsettling to me.
Unsettling is a good word for it.
Yeah.
I mean, these systems hold just a massive amount of personal and financial data.
Yeah.
I mean, you can imagine
Oh, yeah.
someone getting access to Social Security numbers, bank account details,
Oh, easily.
even financial records of government contractors. I mean, it's all in there.
It really makes you think about identity theft and financial fraud.
Absolutely.
But it's not just that.
No, it's much bigger than that.
It's the power that someone would have if they could control or even just manipulate
Hmm.
the flow of billions of dollars in government funds.
Oh, absolutely. Or imagine the ability to just dig up dirt on political rivals.
Yeah, opposition research.
Oh, yeah. It's all right there at your fingertips.
Yeah. And they also mentioned in the segment that Musk actually publicly accused USA of being a criminal organization.
I remember that, yeah.
And he's calling for a shutdown of payments to nonprofits.
It's pretty strong rhetoric.
Yeah, and that on its own,
Yeah.
could really undermine public trust in a vital institution.
Yeah, for sure. And it could disrupt some really crucial aid programs, too.
It's interesting, though, because it does kind of align with what he's said publicly about wanting to
And that-
shrink the government.
Shrink the government. Yeah, he's been pretty vocal about that.
But the way he's going about it,
It definitely raises some eyebrows.
yeah, it seems a little bit...
A little bit unorthodox, to say the least.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like,
Right.
what are the ethical limits of
Mm.
this disruption?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider that
Yeah,
his companies could stand to benefit financially
that's for sure.
from changes in government spending.
Yeah, that's a massive
Yeah.
conflict of interest just waiting to happen.
Oh, absolutely. It's a ticking time bomb.
And you know what I find really perplexing is that there isn't a lot of pushback from Republicans.
It's a bit surprising, isn't it?
Yeah, why aren't we hearing more GOP voices challenging this?
Well, this segment did mention that polling data shows that there's still very strong support for Trump among Republicans.
Oh, that's right.
So it's possible that a lot of them see Musk's actions as aligning with their interests,
Yeah, I can see that.
even if they might have some questions about his methods.
But some Democrats are saying some pretty concerning things.
Oh, yeah.
Like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Right.
She's voiced some concerns about national security threats.
Yeah, she's definitely sounding the alarm.
And she even called for bipartisan action.
Yeah, she's not alone in that.
Right, and Democratic strategist Julia Roginski,
Yes, I know who you mean.
she was really critical of her own party's leadership.
Right, for not taking a stronger stance.
Yeah.
Basically saying that by not pushing back hard enough,
Yeah.
they're kind of normalizing this type of behavior.
And that's a good point.
It is.
Because if we just let someone like Musk operate with this level of access and influence without any oversight, what kind of precedent does that set?
It's a slippery slope, for sure.
We're in uncharted territory here, and it feels like we're
Right on the edge.
on the edge of something potentially dangerous.
Teetering. Yeah, I agree.
So we've established that this is a very concerning situation on multiple levels.
Absolutely.
But I think we need to try to understand what's motivating Musk here.
Right.
Like, is this a power trip?
Yeah, good question.
Or does he really believe that he can do a better job than the government?
It's hard to say.
Or is this something more self-serving, right?
Mhm.
What's driving him to these drastic actions?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah, the segment did point to a few potential clues, though.
Oh, okay.
They mentioned his past clashes with the FAA,
Yes, of course.
which seems to suggest that he's
Yeah.
got this deep-seated aversion to bureaucratic hurdles.
Right. He doesn't like being told what to do.
And I remember that whole thing with the FAA administrator.
Yeah, how could I forget?
It seemed like he had this personal vendetta against the guy.
Yeah, it got pretty nasty.
And now he has access to information that could be used against anyone
Oh, wow.
who crosses him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of chilling when you think about it.
It's a little bit scary, yeah.
His history of targeting people.
Yeah. Anyone who challenges him.
His challenge.
It definitely raises some red flags.
It's like a real-life superhero movie gone wrong.
It does, doesn't it?
But instead of superpowers, it's tech genius, massive wealth.
And political connections.
And political connections, yeah.
A potent combination.
And we can't forget about his goal of shrinking the government, right?
Right. He's been very clear about that.
It's possible that he truly believes that he can make things more efficient.
Yeah. Streamline things.
Streamline things.
Reduce the role of government.
And ultimately reduce the size and scope of government intervention.
Yeah.
He also has these companies that could directly benefit
Correct.
from a smaller, less regulated government.
Yeah.
So it's hard to ignore
Absolutely.
self-interest.
It's definitely a factor.
That could be at play here.
It's a tangled web, that's for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of tangled webs, let's move on to
Ooh.
the elephant in the room.
The Musk-Trump dynamic.
Yes, the Musk-Trump dynamic.
What is going on there?
What is the deal with this bromance?
Right. And how long can it last, realistically?
Is it a temporary alliance?
Yeah, just a marriage of convenience?
Yeah. Or is there something deeper?
Some people seem to think so.
The segment kind of suggested that it might be more transactional
Yeah.
than anything else.
A quid pro quo situation.
Like they both see the potential benefits
Right. There's something in it for both of them.
of working together.
Makes sense.
So what's in it for Trump?
Yeah, that's a good question.
He's already got
He's the president.
in the power of the presidency. What does Musk bring to the table?
Well, I think Trump sees Musk as a disruptor.
Yeah.
Someone who can shake things up, push through his agenda
Yeah.
in ways that traditional politicians just can't.
And plus, he probably enjoys
Oh, absolutely.
the chaos that Musk is creating.
He loves chaos.
Because it distracts
Right, takes the heat off of him.
from his own questionable actions.
Exactly.
Chaos seems to be his modus operandi.
Oh, for sure. He thrives on it.
Yeah, he thrives on it.
Uses it to sow division, undermine trust in institutions.
It's a classic tactic, right?
It's worked for him in the past.
Yeah, and it seems like he's trying to replicate it here.
For sure.
But what about Musk?
Yeah, what's his angle?
What is he getting out of this?
Right, besides the chaos.
He's definitely gaining access and influence
That's for sure.
he wouldn't have otherwise.
Definitely.
Plus, remember that comment from Congressman Riggleman?
Oh, yeah, the incel trapped in a billionaire's body line.
That one.
Ouch.
That was brutal.
But, I mean, there's a kernel of truth there, right?
I think so.
The sense of wanting to be recognized.
To prove himself.
To shake things up, yeah.
Yeah, even if it means breaking the rules.
Yeah, he's not afraid to ruffle some feathers.
But how stable is this alliance, really?
That's a great question.
Especially if Musk starts to do things that don't align with Trump's interests.
Right.
It seems like this relationship is built on this very shaky foundation of shared goals and mutual benefit.
House of cards.
But if that starts to crumble, if their interests diverge,
Right.
the potential for this very public and messy
Oh, absolutely. Falling out.
Yeah.
Very public, very messy.
is definitely there.
Yeah, the fireworks would be spectacular.
So we have Musk and Trump
Two powerful, unpredictable personalities,
operating with seemingly little oversight.
each with their own agendas,
A whole lot of sensitive information,
hanging in the balance.
potentially hanging in the balance.
With a recipe for disaster.
What could possibly go wrong?
That's what we need to figure out.
Yeah, we need to understand the risks,
Absolutely.
the potential consequences of this unusual partnership.
And what it all means for the future of American democracy.
Yeah. And we're going to delve into all of that, but first we need to take a quick break.
Okay, so we were talking about the Musk-Trump dynamic and
Right.
all the risks that go along with this whole situation.
It is a very unusual situation.
It feels like we're watching this high-stakes game of political chess.
Right.
But they're like making up the rules as they go along.
Yeah, the rule book is being written in real time, it seems.
And one thing that's clear is that Musk's access and influence raises a ton of concerns
Definitely.
about potential abuse.
Yeah, abuse of power is a big one.
The segment highlighted
Yeah.
that he doesn't even have a formal security clearance.
Yeah, that's pretty mind-boggling when you think about it.
Mind-boggling to me,
But
too.
not a small detail, you know?
Yeah, I mean, shouldn't someone with that much access
You'd think so. Have to go through like a really intense vetting process.
Yeah, you'd think there'd be a whole system of checks and balances.
Yeah. What happened to checks and balances?
It seems like they've been bypassed in this case.
It makes you wonder if our current systems are even equipped to handle this.
Yeah.
I mean, people like Musk, they operate outside of the normal rules.
Yeah, he's not exactly known for following the rules.
Because what are the actual risks here?
Well, there's the concern that he could use this access for personal gain.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine him using his knowledge of government contracts to benefit his own company.
Right. Or getting access to financial data.
Oh, yeah.
To give himself an edge in business deals.
Insider trading on a whole other level.
And what about using that info to dig up dirt on rivals?
Oh, yeah, the potential for blackmail.
Well, intimidation is huge.
And we can't forget about his ties to Chinese state-owned enterprises.
Oh, right. You mentioned that.
The segment talked about
potential conflicts of interest.
Yeah.
And they seem pretty huge.
To massive conflicts of interest.
What if his actions are being influenced
It's a valid concern.
for foreign interests?
It adds a whole other layer of complexity to this situation.
This whole thing feels like a spy thriller.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A little bit too real for comfort, though.
But in real life, the stakes are even higher.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We're talking about a potential loss of trust in our institutions.
Erosion of trust.
And the risks to national security.
It could destabilize the whole government.
So is this just a Musk and Trump thing?
That's a good question.
Or is this like a broader trend?
Well, it's interesting to look at this in the context of history.
Okay.
There have been times when individuals with a lot of wealth and power have had way too much influence over governments.
And it hasn't always ended well, right?
Often with disastrous consequences.
Can you give me some examples?
Sure. Think about the oligarchs in post-Soviet Russia. Or the influence of those wealthy industrialists during the Gilded Age here in the U.S.
Right, right.
Those periods were all about concentrated wealth and power.
Which led to
corruption, inequality, and weak democratic institutions.
That's a scary thought. Are you saying we're on the verge of a new Gilded Age?
I wouldn't go that far, but we have to see the parallels, you know.
Yeah.
Unchecked power is dangerous.
So if we are seeing this shift towards a more oligarchic system, how do we even begin to fight it?
It feels huge, right?
It feels impossible.
It's a daunting challenge for sure, but I think the first step is awareness.
Okay.
We have to talk about these issues openly and honestly.
So that's spreading the word.
Raising awareness.
What else?
We need to hold our elected officials accountable.
How?
Demand transparency, push for stronger regulations.
To prevent this kind of thing from happening again.
Exactly. We have to protect our democracy.
From being hijacked by special interests.
Right.
It sounds like it's going to be a really long road.
It will be a long road, but people have challenged power structures before.
Successfully.
And one, courage, persistence, and a belief that things can get better.
No more cynicism?
No more apathy.
Okay, that's a bit more hopeful.
Well, we can do this.
But back to Musk for a second.
Okay.
The segment really played up this idea of him waging this war against the government.
Oh, right.
Do you think that's accurate?
Well, it's a compelling narrative.
Yeah.
And there is evidence to support it.
Like what?
His attacks on USA, his targeting of anyone who crosses him.
Yeah.
It all points to a real dislike of government bureaucracy.
And a healthy dose of ego, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, this is the guy who named his Department of Government Efficiency.
I know, right?
Doji.
After the Dogecoin meme.
Yeah, so maybe it's not all serious.
It's hard to say what's real and what's performance.
So if it's not just about shrinking the government, what else could be motivating him?
Maybe he's just doing Trump's bidding.
Or is there something more?
It's possible that he sees this alliance as a way to help himself.
Like how?
Maybe he wants to influence policy to benefit his companies.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe he sees this as a chance to test out his ideas about governing.
On a grand scale.
Right, like a real-world experiment.
And Trump.
What's his end game?
Yeah.
I think he sees Musk as a tool.
A tool to do what?
To disrupt things, to push through his agenda.
And we talked about this before. He probably loves the chaos.
Keeps his opponents off balance.
So again, we have these two powerful, unpredictable people.
Very volatile.
With their own agendas, little oversight.
It's a recipe for disaster.
What could go wrong?
We've already talked about abuse of power, conflicts of interest.
Foreign influence.
But the segment had some other scenarios to consider.
Like what? What are the worst case
So
scenarios?
one scenario that they mentioned is that Musk could just keep gaining more and more power
Yeah.
within the government
Okay.
and essentially become like a shadow president.
A shadow president.
Yeah, operating behind the scenes.
That sounds a little bit,
I know it sounds crazy.
yeah, like a sci-fi novel or something.
But think about what we've already seen, right?
Okay, yeah.
He's not afraid to push the limits.
No.
He operates outside the norms, and he's not afraid to use his wealth and influence to get what he wants.
And Trump's giving him free rein.
Exactly.
It's not hard to imagine him getting even more powerful.
Right. He could be reshaping government agencies, redirecting funding, pushing his own agenda
Without any real oversight.
without any accountability.
That's a scary thought.
It is a scary thought, yeah.
What other scenarios should we be thinking about?
Well, the segment also talked about the possibility that the Musk-Trump alliance could fall apart.
Okay.
Maybe their interests stop aligning.
Yeah, or Musk oversteps.
Right, and Trump feels threatened.
Knowing their personalities, I could definitely see
Oh, absolutely.
a very public and messy breakup happening.
They would not go down quietly.
So what would that even look like?
It could lead to even more instability.
Yeah.
Imagine a power struggle.
Oh, between Musk and Trump.
Government agencies caught in the crossfire.
Wow.
Policies getting reversed, funding being weaponized, the whole system thrown into chaos.
That's a lot.
It would be like a political earthquake.
And the aftershocks.
Could last for years.
Yeah, it could really damage public trust.
And make it even harder to solve the problems we're facing.
Okay, so those are two pretty bleak scenarios.
Yeah.
Musk as a shadow president.
Or a Trump-Musk power struggle.
Is there any hope for a better outcome?
There's always hope, right?
Okay, so what could happen?
Maybe public pressure forces Trump to put some limits on Musk.
Yeah.
Or maybe Musk himself steps back.
Realizes that things have gone too far.
But people can change.
Even billionaires.
Even billionaires, especially when public opinion turns against them.
So it's not all doom and gloom.
Not necessarily.
There's a chance that things could get better.
There's always a chance.
So what can we do to make that happen?
I know it sounds simple, but we have to stay informed.
Okay.
We have to talk about these issues.
Have those difficult conversations.
Hold our leaders accountable.
So no more just scrolling through social media.
No more passive consumption.
We have to actually engage.
Support organizations that are fighting for democracy.
Write to our representatives.
Talk to people who disagree with us.
It sounds like we can actually make a difference.
We can. The future isn't set in stone.
So it's up to us to shape it.
Exactly.
Wow, this has been quite the deep dive
It has been a journey.
into some pretty murky waters.
We've covered a lot of ground.
But I think by talking about this stuff,
By shining a light on these issues.
we can start to find our way to a better future.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration.
It's been a pleasure.
And we'll see you next time for another deep dive.